Welcome to our video, Transport and Distribution Planning in a Trump World. Today we'll explore how Donald Trump's America First economic strategy reshaped global logistics, including transport networks, supply chains, and distribution planning.
We'll look at how trade wars, tariffs, and reshoring changed international distribution systems. They weren't small changes. By 2019, the United States had placed tariffs on roughly $360 billion worth of dollars of Chinese imports, dramatically altering global freight flows.
We'll also look ahead at how transport planners today can design resilient, flexible networks in an era where political priorities can shift overnight.
So to begin, let's clarify what we mean by a Trump world and why it matters for transport and distribution.
The phrase Trump world refers to the global environment shaped by Trump's economic and trade policies from 2017 onwards. His administration prioritized American jobs, domestic production, and tighter borders.
This included major tariff actions. In 2017, only about 8% of US imports from China faced special trade protection, but by the end of 2018, that jumped to over 50%, as new tariffs were introduced across key industrial sectors.
This triggered a wave of supply chain reconfiguration. Companies asked, if trade costs rise so sharply, how do we redesign our transport and distribution systems to remain competitive?
Logistics planners suddenly had to account for new tariffs, shifting trade patterns, and policy uncertainty, all requiring smarter, more adaptive transport networks.
Now let's see how these dramatic changes affected transport and distribution planning in practice.
A major impact was the redirection of trade routes. After tariffs hit Chinese imports, US imports of tariff-targeted goods from China fell by about 25%. This is roughly $35 billion in the first half of 2019. Companies shifted production to Vietnam, India, and Mexico, creating new transport corridors and regional distribution hubs.
This helped drive a surge in nearshoring. Instead of relying on long global routes, firms built manufacturing and warehousing assets closer to North American consumers. But only $21 billion of the lost China trade was replaced by other countries, meaning many supply chains lacked immediate alternatives.
These adjustments weren't cheap. Studies showed that US companies themselves paid about $46 billion in tariff costs. Transport planners had to balance higher domestic costs with shorter, more predictable delivery routes, redesigning networks to minimize tariff exposure.
Digitalization also accelerated. With rising uncertainty, companies invested in AI-powered forecasting, route optimization, and real-time tracking. Analytics became essential for responding to unpredictable delays or sudden cost spikes.
In short, the Trump world forced a shift from efficiency-first planning to risk-adaptive planning, where data and flexibility became central.
Let's examine how two industries, automotive and electronics, navigated these changes.
Starting with automotive. Under the USMCA trade deal, cars must now contain 75% North American-made parts, up from 62.5% under NAFTA, and 40 to 45% of a vehicle's value must come from workers earning at least $16 per hour.
This forced firms like Ford and GM to shift sourcing to US, Mexico, and Canada. Transport planners had to redesign multimodal systems, combining trucking, rail, and seaports to maintain just-in-time production while meeting new compliance rules.
Now the electronics sector. Companies such as Apple shifted parts of their supply chain from China to Vietnam and India. This complicated freight flows. Components might fly to India for assembly, then ship across the Pacific to US ports.
These longer, more fragmented routes required real-time tracking and flexible routing strategies to ensure reliability.
The trade war also increased consumer costs. In 2018, US households absorbed roughly $16.8 billion in higher prices, and estimates suggested a family of four could pay up to $2,300 more per year if 25% tariffs applied to all Chinese imports.
These examples show how Trump-era logistics planning demanded adaptability, digital coordination, and a strategic balance between cost and resilience.
What lessons can transport planners take from this period?
First, resilience now matters as much as efficiency. One study found that firms face an average of 21 extra days of delays for some foreign products inputs due to geopolitical disruptions. This contributes to a 1.8% rise in costs and over 7% output loss in their model.
Second, technology is the backbone. AI, blockchain, and IoT tools help track cargo, predict delays, and automate routing decisions.
Third, sustainability is unavoidable. Even if some Trump-era rules relaxed environmental standards, modern supply chains must still integrate low-emission fleets, renewable-powered warehouses, and carbon reporting.
Today's transport planners must navigate politics, cost pressures, technology trends, and sustainability commitments, a challenging but essential balancing act.
The first takeaway: political shifts have direct, measurable impacts on transport and distribution planning.
Takeaway 2. Companies must design multi-regional supply chains that can quickly adapt to tariffs and trade disruptions.
Takeaway 3. Digital logistics systems are now essential for forecasting, monitoring, and rapid decision-making.
And finally, resilience, flexibility, and sustainability are now the pillars of transport planning in a world shaped by shifting political priorities.
Thanks for watching our presentation on transport and distribution planning in a Trump world.
We hope it gave you a clearer understanding of how global logistics adapt during political and economic disruption.
Special thanks to our sources, including the International Transport Forum, the US Trade Commission, Federal Reserve Research, UNCTAD, Brookings, and the Peterson Institute for International Economics.
This has been a TU Dublin presentation. Thanks for watching.